welcome once again to A Rebel Without Applause, coming to you not from my movie studio apartment in the Wood of the Holly under the sign overlooking the enchanted land of La, but instead I come to you from an altogether different locale. I'm surrounded by whiteness and cold and a rather bleak and barren landscape, and I'm in a place known as White People Land, or Iowa. And why am I here? Well, because every 4 years or so, the eyes and the ears of the world get focused on a little plot of not a lot of land in the middle of the country. And it is within the rather square confines of this plot of not a lot of farmland where a bunch of pasty-faced folks in Pendleton shirts and ill-fitting overalls and John Deere baseball caps decide who gets to be the next president. Or rather, who won't get to be the next president. Because here in the WPL, otherwise known as Iowa, this is where the electoral season begins in earnest. Preseason is over. Everything here counts. It's sort of like, how can I say it, the Sweet 16 or the Elite 8 in the NCAA playoffs. If you can't survive the caucuses in Iowa, you're pretty much out of it. Sadly, some of my favorite candidates like Kamala and Cory are already out of it, presumably because somehow Joe Biden secured the black vote, which left Kamala and Cory outside looking in, so they did the prudent thing and threw in their towels before they suffered humiliation at the hands of all those Caucasian Caucasians here in the WPL. Oh well, that's the way the things crumble cookie-wise. Unless, of course, you're a bona fide billionaire and have a huge reserve of cash to skip over this little plot of not a lot of land, like Bloomberg from New York or Steyer of California. Now, frankly, folks, I'm a little weary of billionaires. Billionaires, thanks to the brat boy, have pretty much worn me out as of late. And that's the way it goes sometimes. It's always the few that ruin it for the many. Now, I know for you Bloomberg and Steyer fans, that sounds like an unfair prejudice against billionaires. But billionaires, thanks to the AIC, by that I mean the assassin-in-chief, they have, as of late, become the most hated of minorities, which really isn't fair to all those well-intentioned other billionaires. After all, billionaires are people too, or at least they say they are. Apparently, billionaires have frailties and faults, just like millionaires, and just like all the rest of us middle and lower class slobs do. But if you're a billionaire, maybe you can cover them up or hide them. I'm not really sure. But to be sure, being a billionaire affords certain privileges and prerogatives that the rest of us don't enjoy, like running for president and then skipping a bunch of debates and primaries and hoping that you can score big on like Super Tuesday. So for the time being, I'll try and withhold my prejudices and see how things play out, at least for now. After all, Kobe was a billionaire, or he was close to being a billionaire, and I loved Kobe. And I am wrecked about his untimely departure, so I don't want to cast aspersions on billionaires as a group. We have to judge billionaires as individuals. Any other approach would be prejudicial and unfair. Even so, billionaires enjoy rarefied privileges like flying in private jets and helicopters, and sometimes, tragically, those billionaires pay a hefty price for those privileges, especially when they fly in those helicopters on really foggy days. And sadly, Kobe paid that price. Unlike Icarus, he didn't fly too close to the sun. No, the poor guy and all of the rest of them just got disoriented in the fog. I know this because I was driving through Las Virgenes Canyon where the accident happened that morning to go surf at County Line, and just a few hundred feet above your head, it was pea soup, or I don't know if pea soup is the right soup. Let's call it clam chowder. Not New York, but New England clam chowder. White and thick and soupy. And the tops of the hills were enshrouded in whiteness. And all I can think of is those poor families. The day before, what were they doing? They were bragging about it. Guess what? We get to fly with Kobe. Huh? Yeah, we get to fly up with Kobe on his helicopter to see his daughter in a basketball game. Oh my God. You're so lucky. You get to fly to the game with Kobe. You're so lucky. Yeah, I guess not. Not so lucky. You know, they say the good die young, but the unfortunate corollary to that is a lot of assholes live a really long time, like that other billionaire who's currently enjoying free federal housing on 1600 Pennsylvania Avenue. But who knows, that might all change real soon, especially if Dr. Strange-Bolton, gets a chance to share his recollections under oath in front of those senators who swore to do impartial justice. Now, a few thoughts on Dr. Strange-Bolton. There is not a war this guy didn't want, not a Muslim country he didn't want to nuke. But if we're going to kill millions of people, it was Dr. Strange-Bolton's view that we're going to do it by the book. If we're going to obliterate civilization as we know it, we're going to do it legally. So now Dr. Strange-Bolton could very well be the one to pull the plug on the PVP. By that I mean Putin's vice president. We'll see. But frankly, if past is prologue, the PVP will probably skate scot-free with the help of his senatorial friends. Until the next election, at least. At least I hope. Anyway, where was I? Oh, yes. Where am I? Look around. I'm deep in the heart of the WPL in a motel near Des Moines Airport. And guess what? The PVP was here in Des Moines tonight, sharing his love and wisdom right here in the below freezing heart of the WPL. As a matter of fact, I saw his blue and white 747 at the airport when I landed, but that's besides the point. My goal is to try and figure out what the folks are thinking here. Maybe some of these proud white people will find it in their hearts to talk to me. I know I kind of look like one of those coastal elites. That's why I'm kind of going undercover. I'm wearing my camouflage thank you for your service jacket. The truth is, for the record, though, once I get to the coast, I am nowhere near elite. As a matter of fact, I'm way down near the bottom of the Fame Game food chain, but don't tell anybody that here. Still, I think it's important for me to get out of my West Coast liberal bubble and talk to people who have never surfed. You know, folks who have never seen a wave except on the opening credits to Hawaii Five-0, folks who actually grow things and know how to operate tractors and milk cows, folks who don't have tan lines, folks who live in a square state on square farms and love to square dance. These people need to be heard too, and I'm here to find some and listen to what they have to say if they will talk to me. So stay frigging tuned, or rather stay subscribed. Now, politically speaking, Iowans are different from the rest of us. Technically speaking, folks in this corner of white people land don't have an actual primary like the rest of us do. They have what is known as a caucus. Now, I've done some research, and to be honest, I still don't really know what exactly a caucus is. When Caucasians caucus, things apparently can get messy and confusing. Best as I can figure, a Caucasian caucus in the WPL goes something like this. The Caucasians get together in like basketball gyms all across the square state of Iowa. And these white people, they argue and debate for their favorite candidate. And after a lot of arguing and debating, they decide who's their fave candidate and their second fave candidate, and on down the list they go. All this happens on caucus day. And while these Caucasians are caucusing in basketball gyms, the rest of the world waits on pins and needles. Hopefully, I can get into one of these basketball gyms and shoot some hoops in honor of the Black Mamba while all those Caucasians are caucusing. Be interesting to see how it all goes down, so stay tuned, or since this is a podcast, rather stay subscribed. Oh, and one more thing. A word about cheating and the World Series. Okay. It's one thing to use unfair and illegal means to steal an election. By that I mean solicit help from big bad Vlad over in Russia in 2016. And then the day after you nearly get your balls skinned for doing that by Robert Mueller, try and extort the same thing from another country. By that I mean Ukraine in the upcoming 2020 election. Okay, that I can deal with. We have a remedy for that. It's called impeachment, and that process is as I speak, ongoing, even though it is totally rigged in favor of the imbecile brat boy billionaire, but that's another story. But to try and use unfair and illegal means to steal a World Series, now that is a totally different deal. I mean, the World Series is fucking sacred. All of us, conservatives and liberals, white folks and black, Hispanic and Asians, we all rely on a fairly fought outcome. In baseball, as in life, there is no greater advantage than knowing what your opponent is going to throw at you. Accordingly, I want to submit my sincerest condolences and sympathies to Clayton Kershaw and Yu Darvish, who were not only totally obliterated by the Houston Asterix in the 2017 World Series, those dudes were psychically scarred for life, as was their manager, Dave Roberts, who I have harshly criticized. So, for the record, in view of the cheating scandal, I would like to retract my criticism for his mismanagement of the 2017 World Series. Okay, I said it. Onward. Back to the WPL. Stay friggin' tuned, folks. More is coming. And from a little hotel room in Des Moines, Iowa, namaste, shalom, and aloha, or nama shaloha.